For more than 6 centuries, the Ottoman Empire stood as one of history's greatest superpowers. It ruled over vast lands stretching across Southeast Europe, Western Asia, and North Africa. From the gates of Vienna to the deserts of Arabia, from the Balkans to the Red Sea, the Ottomans shaped politics, trade, religion, and warfare. Its capital, Constantinople, was the jewel of the world, where East met West, Islam met Christianity, and continents converged. At its height in the 16th century under Suleiman the Magnificent, the empire was feared by Europe, respected by Asia, and unrivaled in the Islamic world. Yet by 1922, this once mighty empire ceased to exist. How did a civilization that survived crusades, Mongols, and centuries of war collapse? The fall of the Ottoman Empire was not sudden. It was slow, complex, and inevitable. This is the story of decay, resistance, betrayal, war, and rebirth. The Golden Age, power at its peak. The Ottoman Empire rose from a small frontier state in Anatolia in the late 13th century. Under leaders like Osman I, Mehmed II, and Suleiman the Magnificent, it expanded through disciplined armies, advanced artillery, and a flexible system of governance. In 1453, Mehmed II conquered Constantinople, an event that shocked Europe and marked the end of the Byzantine Empire. The Ottomans became heirs to Roman imperial tradition, calling themselves Kaiseri Rum, Caesars of Rome. The empire thrived because it adapted. Christians, Jews, and Muslims lived under the millet system, governing their own communities. Trade routes flourished. Ottoman law blended Islamic principles with pragmatic administration. For centuries, the empire seemed unstoppable, but cracks were forming beneath the surface. The seeds of decline. By the late 17th century, the Ottoman Empire began to fall behind Europe. While European states embraced scientific revolution, industrialization, and centralized bureaucracy, the Ottomans struggled with tradition-bound institutions. The Janissaries, once elite soldiers, became politically powerful and resistant to reform. Sultans increasingly lived isolated lives in the palace, while real power shifted to court officials and military elites. Corruption spread. Tax farming replaced direct governance. Provincial governors acted independently, weakening central authority. In 1683, the failed siege of Vienna marked a turning point. For the first time, the Ottomans were decisively pushed back. The empire began losing territory, slowly at first, then relentlessly. Europe rises, the Ottomans fall behind. The 18th and 19th centuries were disastrous. European powers, Britain, France, Russia, and Austria-Hungary, grew stronger, richer, and more technologically advanced. The Ottomans, meanwhile, became economically dependent on Europe. Capitulations gave European merchants special privileges, draining Ottoman revenue. Factories in Europe crushed Ottoman artisans. Railways and steamships bypassed traditional trade routes. Russia emerged as the empire's most dangerous enemy, pushing south toward Ottoman lands and claiming to protect Orthodox Christians within the empire. By the 1800s, the Ottomans were no longer feared. They were mocked as the sick man of Europe. Perhaps the greatest threat came from within. Inspired by the French Revolution, nationalism spread across Europe and into the Ottoman Balkans. Greeks rebelled in the 1820s and won independence. Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, and others followed. Each rebellion weakened the empire militarily and psychologically. In response, Ottoman rulers attempted reform. The Tanzimat reforms, 1839 to 1876, aimed to modernize the army, bureaucracy, and legal system, granting equal rights to all citizens. But reform angered conservatives and failed to satisfy nationalists. The empire was caught between modernization and tradition, unable to fully commit to either. The Young Turks and a desperate gamble. By the early 20th century, reformist officers and intellectuals known as the Young Turks seized power. They wanted to save the empire through nationalism, centralization, and modernization. But their timing was disastrous. Between 1911 and 1913, The Ottoman Empire lost nearly all its European territories during the Balkan Wars. Millions of Muslim refugees flooded into Anatolia. The empire was humiliated, impoverished, and desperate. When World War I broke out in 1914, the Ottomans made a fateful decision. They joined the war on the side of Germany and Austria-Hungary. It would be their final mistake. The Ottoman Empire fought on multiple fronts. Against Russia in the Caucasus, against Britain in Mesopotamia and Palestine, against Allied forces at Gallipoli. At Gallipoli, Ottoman forces, led by a young officer named Mustafa Kemal, defeated Allied troops, proving the empire still had strength. But elsewhere, disaster followed disaster. Arab revolts, encouraged by Britain, tore the empire apart from the south. Supply shortages, disease, and outdated infrastructure crippled the army. In 1918, the Ottomans surrendered. The war left the empire shattered. After the war, Allied powers moved to carve up Ottoman lands. The Treaty of Sèvres, 1920, planned to divide Anatolia itself among foreign powers and create new states. Constantinople was occupied. The Sultan became a puppet. For many, the empire was already dead. But from the ruins, resistance emerged. Mustafa Kemal, later known as Ataturk, rejected surrender. From Anatolia, he organized a nationalist resistance against occupying forces. Between 1919 and 1922, Turkish nationalists fought Greeks, Armenians, and Allied-backed forces. They won. In 1922, the Ottoman Sultanate was abolished. In 1923, the Republic of Turkey was proclaimed. After 623 years, the Ottoman Empire officially ended. Conclusion: why the Ottoman Empire fell. The Ottoman Empire did not collapse because of one war or one ruler. It fell because of failure to industrialize, resistance to reform, economic dependence, rising nationalism, foreign intervention, and the devastating impact of World War I. Yet its legacy endures. Modern Turkey, the Middle East, the Balkans, and North Africa still bear the marks of Ottoman rule in borders, cultures, cuisines, and conflicts. The empire's collapse reshaped the modern world, and its story remains a warning. No empire, no matter how powerful, lasts forever.